Hi everyone, welcome to another one of our LinkedIn Live events. Today's topic is going to be on overcoming the fear of uncertainty in career. Before we start, I'm just going to quickly check if my audio and video is visible. And for those of you who are attending this live event for the very first time, how we do this is that I'm going to explain to you a topic in depth. Today's topic is going to be overcoming the fear of uncertainty in your career. And you can ask any questions you want while this event is going on, or you can ask it in the YouTube comment section where I also upload it. So if you miss the live event anywhere in the middle or you feel that you have to go, you don't have to worry. You can also watch it again on YouTube. And you can also send the question in my LinkedIn DMs while this event is going on, because again, I do check my phone to see the questions. Okay, before we start, just let's hope that today the internet does not betray us as it usually does. Okay. Okay, I think we're doing fine. In case if there's any disturbance, I hope that you guys will let me know. All right, let's begin. So, overcoming the fear of uncertainty in your career. So, when it comes to the fear of uncertainty, it is not something that any of us is unaware of. Of course, all of us have, been there. All of us have felt that I don't know if I'll be relevant in a few years, in a few months. I don't know if I'll be able to make it. I don't know if I see myself doing this for the rest of my life. I don't know if, what I'm doing is going to be something that is going to be in demand, even let's say a few years down the line. And there are many reasons why the fear of uncertainty happens. So first we're going to discuss about that, because what we want to do is we want to first recognize the reason. Okay. Something that I always follow with my clients is a root cause first approach, which means that we cannot solve a problem unless and until we don't understand the depth of it, and unless and until we don't understand the purpose of it. Because if there is a problem, right, in your mind, in your body, there is a purpose it is serving, right? And usually, whenever you have a problem, it is because your body is trying to protect you from something. And the more we delay resolving it, the more we get anxious, the more this fear develops, the fear of uncertainty being one of them. So we first want to see what could be the reason you may be having this fear, and then we're going to be talking about resolution. And as usual, I will be talking about a lot of reasons that you don't think about or that nobody else talks to you about, because my approach with my clients have always been doing deep inner work. So I would expect you to listen patiently, and I would expect you to have a notebook with you, and whatever is coming to you while I'm speaking, right, whatever thoughts that are coming to you, because oftentimes when people are attending my live events, they go deep into their thoughts, because as I'm speaking, they're also thinking. So do that. Allow yourself to do that. Allow yourself to take notes. Allow yourself to just let your thoughts come, because that is how we connect with ourselves. So let this live event be one of the ways you are speaking to your fear, and not looking to hide it or looking to suppress it. Okay. So, what triggers the fear in the first place? So, the fear of uncertainty is very common. It exists for all of us, but there are certain reasons why it gets triggered. And the very first reason is this information that we have about how the world is changing so fast, right? So we all are on social media. I mean, you are here on LinkedIn, so obviously you are consuming a lot of content from other people as well. Similarly, if you're on Instagram or if you're in any other social site, we hear layoffs are happening. We hear the world is changing. We hear that a job is going to be taken away by AI. So what we are witnessing is a lot of negative information about how stability is just not there. We are hearing a lot of external information about that no matter what you do, it may be taken away, right? It may be taken away, it is not permanent. Now, is the information that we are hearing completely correct? No. Is the information that we are hearing completely false? Also no. Because in truth, of course, nobody's job or business is completely stable. We all experience instability, and we all can be one day at a place where we don't have what we have, right, if we stop putting efforts into it. But that is something that we all are aware of, consciously or unconsciously. But when you hear every single day about this news, that this is happening, that is happening, then it can create like an internal fear that okay, this can be taken away. So instead of even enjoying your career success, you start thinking about, okay, how do I safeguard myself from this happening to me, right? So the first thing is that it gets triggered from there. So here, something to remember is to consume information mindfully, because just because you're consuming a lot of information doesn't mean that you're informed. It also means that sometimes you're just consuming garbage, right? Everything in excess becomes garbage, and that also goes with information. Ultimately, if you are going to be redundant, it is not just purely going to be luck. Okay, it is going to be many many factors. It is going to be your skill set, it is going to be what's happening in your company, it is going to be multiple things, right? So the very first thing to remember is to consume information mindfully, because again, right, we live in an information economy. We all communicate through information only. Like all we are doing is communicating what we are consuming. We are not really connecting. If you think about it, it's a deep thing. So what is something that we can do here is to consume information mindfully, to only trust credible sources, to not follow influencers, to not follow anything and every thing on LinkedIn or Instagram or even everywhere. For example, it has been, I think, maybe 6 7 years. Maybe I was in during my graduation, I think. It was then when I actually stopped consuming news altogether, and it was a very conscious decision, because every single day that I would open my phone to consume news, it would fill me up with so much negativity towards everything and everyone, that it started bothering me. Like, it made me a very negative person, so I stopped consuming news. What I do now is I consume news mindfully in a weekly manner. So I would like sort of open up the sources where I consume news from, and again, credible sources, only credible people that I trust, and I only consume news from there. And I do not follow influencers, I do not follow YouTubers, I do not follow anyone that fills me up with dread, because whatever it is that they're doing, it is for their purpose, it is serving them, right? You worrying is them getting attention and them getting views and them getting money, right? And I do not enjoy filling myself up with dread, so I do not consume a lot of information. Like, if you ask me what's going on in the world, it may sound a bit shallow, but I really don't know. And frankly, I don't care about it that much. Like, I only keep myself updated about the things that I care about. So even if it is politics, I will read a little bit about it. I don't care about what's going on outside India. I don't care about what is going on in the world completely. Again, right? People may have opinion on it that you should be informed and everything. But my point is that it bothers me too much. I wish I was a very I would say, like, a stoic person, who doesn't really care, but I do care. Honestly, I really do. Like, it affects me. It affects my energy every single time I'm consuming a piece of information. So, keeping that in mind, I consume information very mindfully, and that does not go from like news sources, but in general about my profession also. I don't learn from everyone. I don't hire any coach for myself. I only work with people who are incredibly credible, who know what they're doing, and who have a history of doing deep work only. I don't work with surface level people as well. So when it comes to your profession as well, you must be very careful where your information sources are coming from. If your information sources is coming from anyone and everyone, like your relative, your friends, this senior, that senior, then you're just consuming garbage, and this fear of uncertainty sort of becomes big over time. So consume information mindfully. Now, the second reason why there could be a big fear of uncertainty is lack of planning. And when I say lack of planning, I mean both career and financial. Since we're talking about career today, we're just going to stick to these two aspects. But again, this planning aspect can go to like multiple levels. I discuss it with my clients in my one-on-one sessions as well. But since we're talking about career, let's stick to that for a day. So when you don't have a planned career, now what do I mean when I say planned career? What do I mean is that you don't really know where you're going, right? Your career is a result of you just taking random decisions, that you came out of your college, you applied for a job, you got a job, and now you're doing it, or that that happened, and after that you didn't bother only to see, okay, I'm working, but what is it that I want to do with it, or wherever I'm putting my time, energy, and again, right, time is the asset. That's one thing that is never going to come back. Time is more expensive, much more expensive than money, right? So I'm putting my time everywhere every day to something that I don't know where it is going. Like, I don't know. I'm just passive about it. Whatever is happening. So what is that? That's lack of planning. Similarly, when it comes to my finances, like, money is coming in, I'm spending wherever I want, whenever I want, I'm buying whatever I want, and I have no idea about if tomorrow my source of income stop, what is going to happen, right? What am I going to do? I have no planned investments, I have no planned emergency funds. Basically, I've done nothing, right? My formula for my career and for my finances, YOLO, you only live once, right? So when that kind of attitude is something that's very prevalent, then the fear of uncertainty is going to be much more dire on you than the person who is planned. Because think about it, right? What is the worst thing that can happen to you when it comes to your career? That, you know, you won't be able to pursue it for whatever reason. Maybe if you're doing a job, you may get fired, or if you're doing a business, let's say you are not able to sell whatever it is that you're selling. When that happens, what is going to happen is that your income source is going to stop, right? When your income source is going to stop, that is when all the problems start to begin, because you have bills to pay. It doesn't matter if you're a single person or you're a family person, right? Based on your situation, the pressure is going to feel very, very immense. But if you have a planned career, if you have a, a financial plan for yourself, this fear of what is going to happen if I don't have my career tomorrow isn't going to feel so dire. Because at the end of the day, one of the basic purposes of our career is to make money, because we want to survive in the world. So when we take care of that survival instinct, the fear reduces largely. The second thing is that when we don't plan about our career, again, what can happen is that if we read news about, okay, this is not working, that is not working, our first instinct is to hyperventilate, because we don't know why we are doing what we're doing, right? There is no objective. We just got a job, or we just started something and it's just going. We have no aspiration, we have no ambition, we have no plan. So again, when that happens, anything can trigger you. For example, like something I read a lot about these days is like, AI is going to do this, AI is going to do that. And I don't ever feel scared, because first of all, I have a lot of faith in my skill set and my work that I do. And I truly believe that the work that I do is at that level that AI cannot replace it, right? So because that faith is there, and I'm going to talk about it, there is no fear of what is going to happen. So like that conversation never ever triggers me the way I have seen other people getting triggered. And a lot of trigger points happen because again, they don't really know what they're going to do, or they don't really have a plan, or they don't really think deeply about what is it that they're even worrying about. Which brings me to the next point, which is lack of understanding of yourself. When you don't know your own strengths and weaknesses enough, then it is very easy for you to get scared about anything and everything. So one of the reasons I don't ever get scared when I hear about AI, I don't ever get scared about uh, layoffs or this or that, is because I've very consciously designed a career like that. I've consciously made decisions in my life like that it doesn't really matter to me whatever is happening around the world. I'm in that belief that my business will work anyway, right? So when when I've made consciously that those decisions, for example, there's a reason why I only work online, I don't work offline, because I don't want to bear extra expenses of renting a place, renting an office and stuff like that. So again, those have been very conscious decisions. It was not like a dart in the air. So when those decisions were made, now that I hear about anything not working and stuff like that, it doesn't worry me. It doesn't worry me because it truly has no impact on me, because I know what my strengths and weaknesses were. So for example, when I started my business, I was told that, okay, why don't you get a physical space? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? It'll be more effective. So somebody tried to implant that thought in my head, but my self belief and my inner work was at that level where I believed that it doesn't matter where I'm taking my sessions with my clients, it's going to be equally, if not more, impactful, right? So because I had a lot of belief in myself, because I knew myself, this thought did not take any space in my head. But I have seen aspiring coaches fall fall really badly into these thought patterns, where they believe that something external needs to happen for people to take them seriously. I have seen people not start their coaching businesses because they think they're not old enough. I have seen people not start their coaching businesses because they think that they need to wait for something, or they need this, they need that. So I've seen all that, and that often happens because you don't understand yourself. Similarly, when you are in your career, do you understand why you are doing what you're doing? Do you understand what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? Do you understand that the fears that you have, right, about your career, do you believe that your strength will be able to overpower them? Because if you don't know that, then any news can any news can ramble you. Any news can make you feel that I don't know what will happen to me. It's very, very important to understand yourself at depth. Why am I doing what am I doing? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? If tomorrow everything that I'm afraid of will happen, how would I like to handle it? That is when you have to imagine yourself, what would it feel like to handle these situations? And that is also when the fear slowly goes away. Now, the next point is going to be a big one. It is going to be on past childhood traumas that could be creating this fear. So, here I'm going to discuss quite a few points. Before I do, I'm going to just see if my internet is still working fine. Okay, I think we are doing well. Let's hope the internet stays the same. Okay, so now, fear of uncertainty is, as I said, very, very common. But if it has become a daily part of your life, if it is something that gives you anxiety every other day or every single day, if it is something that keeps you up at night, you're always worried. I don't know what is going to happen to me. I don't know what is going to happen to my career. You are unable to find any solution to it. Then it is probably because this fear is not new. Okay, this fear is very, very old. It is like a wound in your body, and anything from outside triggers that wound. Like, for example, you're already hurt, and somebody like hits you right there. So the pain is just too immense. Versus you were not hurt, somebody touches you here, and you may like feel a pinch, but it's not going to feel like, oh my god, something has started to bleed, right? You won't worry about it that much. So if this fear is causing you sleepless nights, if it's bothering you too much, if it's creating um hamper in your if it's hampering in your um if it's hampering your day-to-day life, if it's hampering your relationships, then it is because this fear is old and it is coming from a place of past trauma. So I'm going to discuss a few points. The very first thing is growing up in a very volatile, very uncertain household. So if you grew up in a household where things were very volatile, like it could be that people around you, if you maybe grew up in a joint family, it could be like your relatives. If you grew up in a nuclear family, they are your parents. Like your parents were very volatile, right? It means that emotionally they don't know, you don't know how they will react. Emotionally they are very volatile, and some every other day there is some sort of drama that's happening. Every other day someone is shouting, someone is crying, something or the other is going wrong. So what it does is it creates a sense of deep unsafety inside of you, non-safety inside of you, wherein you're always scared that I don't know what is going to happen. Because imagine a child experiencing and witnessing conflict every single day. Imagine how scared that child becomes, right? So that drama, that noise, that violence, right, emotional or physical or psychological violence that you witness, right, you absorb all of it, right? And then you start fearing it. That is why a lot of people who grew up in volatile households, they're very scared of loud noises. Either they go into their shell when they hear loud noises, or they start becoming even more aggressive as a way to retaliate. But they hate it. They cannot tolerate loud noises. They cannot tolerate dramatic people. They cannot tolerate people who are shouting and they don't have any hold over their emotions, because they know what it feels like growing up around them. So when you grow up in volatile households like that, so what it can do is that it creates such a deep fear around uncertainty, that all your life you always tackle with this thought that let me just make everything perfect so that uncertainty never happens. And this may not just extend to your career, this may extend everywhere. For example, you must have seen some people, right? They're always calculating what can go wrong. Like they're sitting, let's say in a bus, they're thinking about, oh my god, what is going to happen if I fall down from here? Or let's say they are in a water park and they're thinking, what if I drown? Or let's say they are near a beach to think about, what if I'm swimming and I get bit by something or someone. They're always worried, right? They're always planning about how things can go wrong, because that is what they've seen growing up. They've seen that things can go wrong anytime, and they have felt powerless, they have felt small, they have felt weak, they have felt deeply scared, right? So now they try to control everything. But the problem is that you cannot control every factor in your career, because your career is not just a result of you, it is a result of many factors. And there will always be a lot of uncontrollable factors in your career. So when you have this trauma, right, wherein you grew up in a volatile household, then fear of uncertainty is always going to be a part of you. It is not just a result of you listening to a particular news, or you feeling scared, what if I get replaced by AI. It is a very deep rooted fear, right? So we don't just see it in career, we see it other in other areas of your life as well. The second thing is when your self-worth is tied with money. So when your self-worth is tied with money, what tends to happen is that you're always afraid that if my source of income stops, what will become of me. This can go into thinking about, I will not have freedom, I will be poor, I will have to struggle, my family will have to struggle. So there's a lot of fear around what will happen to me if my income source stops, right? And this fear is not something that is new. It can come from two places. One is that you actually did saw a lot of financial difficulties growing up, right? And if not financial difficulties, you saw a lot of financial constraints. There was always someone in your household who controlled the money in the house, and you were not given access to it easily. You always had to ask for it, or you always had to walk on eggshells around it, or you always had to make sure that this person is pleased when you ask them for money. So what it creates is this deep fear that if I don't have money, I will be controlled, or I won't really have freedom. Similarly, if you have experienced financial difficulties, then you know how painful it feels like to see your parents fight over money, to see your parents struggle for money. So again, this creates a very deep rooted fear and pain inside of you around money. So then you sort of make this decision very early on in life that I will do whatever I can to never run out of money. This can also mean that your career decisions are solely based on money. You're very afraid money will run out. You're very afraid, what if I don't have enough of it? So all your decisions are very money based. And this means that when this fear of uncertainty comes, you're always worried that, okay, if this were to happen, my income source will stop, so how will I survive, right? And another reason why it may happen is because you grew up witnessing that your parents would love you and respect you more when you created outside achievements, when you created enough output. So growing up, if you had more marks, if you were sincere, if you were behaving according to what good boys and good girls behave, again according to your parents, they would love you, they would praise you, they would respect you. And if you didn't, they would not. So they would only pay attention to you when you were doing something. So now you believe that if I don't make enough money, or if my income source stopped, people will stop loving me, people will stop respecting me, and my image in front of them will go down. And this fear is very, very painful, because what we're dealing with here is we're dealing with a very young inner child who's very afraid that mom and dad are not going to love me anymore, or that I'm going to have to witness pain the way I witnessed growing up when it comes to financial difficulties or financial constraints. So this inner child is very, very scared. So when this inner child hears even a little hint of uncertainty, or senses a little bit of uncertainty, that child becomes very anxious, right? Even though your adult brain may know that no, I am financially planned enough that I don't have to worry, or that I don't have a lot of expenses, I don't have to worry, or that it's okay, my parents will not judge me. Again, you may know logically, but that inner child has experienced pain at a level that you don't know and you cannot imagine, and that pain has not been processed, right? And that is why it has been converted into childhood trauma, and that pain is still in their body, in your body. And that is why you feel anxious so easily, you feel worried so easily, you feel this thought is always ruminating in your head: what will happen, what will happen, what will happen, right? Specifically around money, because the fear is related to that, right? The pain is related to that. Now, coming to the next point, which is having career blindness, or having career fog due to inauthenticity. So, when you are someone who has no idea where my career is going, because of many reasons, okay, because you don't know who you are, you lack confidence, you don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing, you just again picked up a job because you thought that, okay, let me just do something. When that is the case, you somewhere know that you're not being authentic, you somewhere know that you're lying to yourself. You may lie to everyone else, but you can't lie to yourself, you can't escape yourself. So you know that whatever I'm doing, I have no interest in it, I don't see a future in it, but I'm doing it. Or even though you may think that I can do it, but I don't want to do it, again, that's being inauthentic. So that inauthenticity and that career fog, that career blindness, not knowing where my career is going, not knowing why I'm doing what I'm doing. So there's lack of purpose there. When that is the case, then again, anything and everything is going to scare you. Why? Because you know that I have no legs to stand on. You know that there are people who are far more aligned and talented than me who can replace me. So that realization is there, okay, inside of you, but there is no action outside to actually align yourself, to actually understand yourself, to actually develop confidence, to actually seek help to get your career aligned. So when that alignment is missing, you are living with that realization every single day that okay, this is not working out for me, right? But there is no action to resolve it. So that fear is growing every single day. This can also result into career anxiety. This can result into procrastination as well, and this can result into losing self confidence over a period of time, where you start believing that I don't know how to do anything. But in reality, if you just stop being inauthentic and you just took help to actually align your career, all of this will just go away, right? Now, the next point is comparison addiction. So, again, this is a result of childhood trauma, yes, because comparison is not something that we learn as an adult. Okay, comparison is something that we learn as a child. It starts from our household when we have parents who compare us with other people. When that is the case, what tends to happen is that a child believes that my mom and dad would love me when I'm doing better than other people, right? So you start competing. You may start competing with your cousins, with your friends, with your classmates, and then when you grow up, this competition, like this need to compete, grows more and more and more, because again, deep down it is that if I succeed or if I do better than other people, that's when mom and dad are going to love me, right? So again, it creates a very big trauma wound, because the inner child is very scared and very sad. Actually, we're dealing with a very sad inner child, because the child is exhausted, right? People who are always competitive are very exhausted somewhere, that they don't want to compete, but they derive their self-esteem from it. So they feel the need that they have to, right? In fact, if they're not competing, they may feel that it's not giving me that joy, right? And when they go into competitive environment, the exhaustion will also come in. So it's a vicious cycle. So here in comparison addiction, what can happen is that you're always comparing yourself with other people. When you are young, when you're young, it's easy to compare yourself, because it's what, class of 40 students in your school, or maybe if you're competing with your siblings, your cousins, and other people like this in your house, it's easy, right? Because they're just a bunch of people. But when you grow up, when you go to college, when you go to, let's say, pursue post graduation, or when you work, how many people are you going to compete with? The world? Because when you know um, pass your 12th standard, right, when you start going for graduation, all your friends who were there with you till your 10th or till your 12th, right, they all go in different directions. Somebody is an engineer, somebody is a psychologist, somebody is a doctor, somebody is an architect, somebody is an interior designer, just varied fields, right? And based on what fields people are pursuing, they may get money according to that, they may get, let's say, recognition according to that again, right? So on what basis will you compare? Because in your school, the parameter to compare was very clear, it was marks. But now what do you compare with? Money. You can't compare with money, because everybody is going to be paid differently. For example, if you look at doctors, they don't make a lot of money until 28, 29, because they're studying. But after 30, right, the amount of money they make in their career, which is later, is far more than a lot of professions. Similarly, maybe you have a classmate who started a business very early on, and they started making a lot more money, whereas you took your time to complete your education and then you started. So you don't know, you can't really compare people on based on money, because again, that cannot be a parameter, because everybody is doing different things. You can only compare when the field is level headed, when the starting point is the same, and the starting point stops being the same the moment you pass your school. And that is why whenever people tell me, because I've had people tell me that, oh, this, comparing myself is to motivate me, I always tell them it's ridiculous and it's stupid, right? You think it helped you, and you know what it did? It did till 10th or 12th to push you, right? Not pull you. You were not internally motivated. There was this push, there was this trauma wound that was so strong. But now that you're an adult, right, this is keeping you up at night, this is making you anxious, this is making you feel small, this is making you this is sort of making you resentful from inside when you look at other people succeed, because your first thought is, why am I not doing that? So this comparison, right, and this whole cycle of it does not serve you in any way. Don't you ever think it serves you. Comparison is never healthy. It is never going to push you in anything apart from more pain. Comparison only works when we are dealing with like very limited controllable variables. like in school. In fact, even then comparison is stupid because everybody excels at different things. But you know what, let's say we can. In real life, in real world, when you're not a child anymore, comparison does not work. So if you have this trauma, if you have this comparison addiction, because as I said, right, it starts very early on from your house, and then if you were compared in school as well, it starts from there. Then you need to heal this trauma wound, because this can go on your entire life, and this can make you resentful, this can make you a bitter person from inside, and this can make you unhappy for other people's success. Okay, before moving on, I'm going to again see if we are still live. Okay, so we have a question where somebody asked, I have 7 years of experience in commerce and operations. Now, being AI a booming career, I want to switch my career to AI. Kindly help me with your suggestions. So, these are the thoughts I'm talking about when I say that please understand why you are doing what you're doing. Just because something has become a fad does not mean that you switch your career to that. It doesn't mean that you will be good at it. It doesn't mean that it will actually suit you. It doesn't even mean that you will actually succeed in it, right? So again, right, it's like in 2021, people were talking about, becoming an influencer, and everybody wanted to do that. Doesn't mean that everybody was good at it, doesn't mean that everybody could handle the pros and cons of it, right? Not everybody, like everybody saw the money that influencers make. They did not see the online hate. They did not see how feeble their career was, how temporary their careers was, right? So when you ask questions like this, I wanted to understand that, okay, you know what, it is going to become clear in the next part of this discussion I'm going to have. So let me complete this, and then I'm going to come back to this question again, because I get questions like these quite often. Okay, so the last point before we move on to the next topic on how to overcome it, inability to sort of deal with problems. So this is also related to lack of self belief. So when you lack self belief, right, when you don't trust yourself that I will be able to handle the changes in my life that come in my life, or when you believe that I won't be able to handle whatever is happening, I won't be able to deal with it, or I don't know how it will happen. So basically you lack a lot of self belief. You think that you always need someone to rely on. You always believe that there is someone external that needs to come in. When that is there, then again you're always going to fear uncertainty. And again, this often happens because you weren't encouraged to become independent growing up, or you always had someone who you always relied on or dependent on. And now it's become a habit. Now it's become a habit to a point where you feel like you can't survive without someone's support, right? And that isn't healthy. Honestly, that isn't healthy in any way, because people like to romanticize it on social media, to depend on your partners, to depend on this, to depend on that. It is not romantic in any way, because you have to understand that when you completely depend on someone else, okay, I'm not just talking about financially. You can be financially independent, but even I like, you should be financially independent, right? But let's say you are, and for your decisions also, you're very emotionally dependent on other people. See, what it does is it puts you in a very vulnerable position, okay, wherein you are completely trusting someone else, right, to make all the decisions in your life, and this someone else may not know the best thing for you, because again, they have not lived their entire life, right? They're not God. They are doing whatever they think is right. The only difference between you and them is that they have self belief that they're doing right things, and you don't have it. That's it. It's not like they know more. So similarly, when you have this kind of personality where you like to depend on other people, it's very dangerous, right? Because you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position when anybody can take advantage of you, anybody can misguide you. So if you lack self-belief, and again, the reason could be varied, it could be childhood trauma, it could be just pure lack of confidence, you need to do deep inner work. If you ever feel like that you are ready to start your deep inner work, and you actually want to become the most unapologetically confident version of yourself, then you're very welcome to work with me. I've worked with countless people from many different countries, and one of the best things that my clients have experienced when they work with me is rapid transformation, in a time frame that they couldn't imagine. So whenever I start working with my clients, again, right, all of them come with a lot of problems, right, a lot of emotional baggage, and they often think that it's not going to, um, it's not going to get resolved. And they often see changes in like just 3 or 4 sessions. And the reason it happens is because I do deep trauma work. I do intergenerational trauma healing and childhood trauma healing with my clients, along with confidence coaching. It is not just surface level talking like therapy, or it is not just mindset work. It is deep inner work. So when I'm doing deep inner work, my clients experience changes at a level that they don't experience with anything and anyone. So if you feel like you can commit to that level of change and you actually want it, then you can just DM me coaching to book a one-on-one session and you can experience the magic of transformation. Okay, so let's talk about how do we actually overcome this. The very first thing when it comes to fear of uncertainty about your career is you need to be specific. What are you afraid of? What is the worst thing that you can think of that your fear tells you that, oh my God, this cannot happen? Is it losing your job? Is it losing your business? And if that is the case, then what is the worst thing about it? Is it feeling the people are going to stop respecting me? Is it that if my income source stops, then I won't be free anymore? Is it that you feel that if I don't have money, I won't be able to pay my bills? What is it? Because this fears, the consequences of this fear, or the depth of this fear is different for different people. Some people fear that if I stop working, or if I lose my job and my business, whatever, then people are going to look down on me, or that people are going to laugh at me. People are going to think that, oh my God, what is he or she doing? Whereas some people are afraid that they won't be able to pay their bills, so they may have this fear of poverty. Some people are afraid that the freedom will be taken away. Some people are afraid that they won't be able to maintain their lifestyle. So depending on what kind of fear you actually have, you need to be honest about it, because that is going to give us an entry point into what are you actually worried about. Because if you're worried about money, then we work on the financial planning aspect in our coaching sessions. If you are worried about what will people think of me, then we work on fear of judgment. Okay. If you're worried that I won't be able to maintain my lifestyle, then we work on your financial planning plus what makes you feel sufficient. Depending on what are you afraid of, we work on that. Because please remember that just because that uncertainty may be taken away for like a little bit of time, like let's say somebody tells you that no, everything is great, AI is not taking over your job, it is not going to take that fear away. Tomorrow if anything comes, and because again, right, we live in a ever changing world, of course. All of us are going to experience ups and downs. Nobody's career is like this, everybody's career is like this, right? Nobody's just going up. It's nonsense if anybody's saying you. So we all are going to experience it, right? But how much of a hold it has on us is a very big, it creates a very big difference in the quality of life that we're living. For example, some people are so terrified and they're so are always so anxious that they don't really live their life. Their life is just going from one anxiety to another anxiety, so their quality of life is very low even if they're making money. Whereas some people who are planned, right, they may be starting from, let's say, here, and they are taking step by step approach, but they're happy throughout. Their quality of life is high. Their contentment is high because they are planned. They have self belief. So depending on what your fears are, we need to work on those fears, because that is what is causing the anxiety. It is not the external factors. External factors will always be there. They're always going to be there. 20 years back, when your parents were working, assuming that they're retired now, 20 years back when your parents were at the prime of their careers, they also had issues like this, right? They were also worried, okay, computers are going to replace them. They did not know how to use devices the way we do. Maybe they weren't exposed to the amount of information we have about investments, about money, about this, that. We all have that. So every generation has had their own fears, right? The only difference in every generation has been that there are people who choose to work on their fears and resolve their problems, and there are people who think that something external needs to give them that guarantee. And that is why we also see influx of people going to astrologers and pundits and people who read your hands and this and that. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong. Of course, you can do whatever you want. The point is that it is not going to resolve your problem, because you think that you are looking for validation basically. You want someone to tell you everything is good, nothing is going to go wrong. But that is a lie. Things can go wrong, right? For anyone and everyone. What you want is a validation for like a couple of days so you can sleep through. And that isn't a permanent solution to your problem. The permanent solution to your problem is doing deep inner work and deep trauma resolution. Because that inner child is the one, that child inside of you is the one that's scared, right? And you can either fool that child into believing that everything is okay, or that you can actually resolve the problem for that child. By the way, this reminds me that I have a very fantastic 4-day boot camp on healing childhood trauma. It's free. I did it a while back and I converted it into a recorded course so that anyone and everyone can consume it anytime. If you would like access to that, you can just DM me like childhood trauma healing boot camp. I will send you the link. And I also have a boot camp on healing your inner child. Therein, we have also done trauma healing meditations. Again, it's a very transformational boot camp. That is available on my LinkedIn bio only, like on my top mid page. So you can just go there and look at it. So if you like look at my profile, you'll find everything. But just letting you know that if you're interested in understanding what traumas could be affecting you and how it is showing up in your life, you can get a lot of information there. So, coming to the second point, and how to overcome it, planning your career and finances. And here I want to talk about controllable and uncontrollable variables. So, no matter what you're doing, right, no matter where you are, no matter what kind of planning you are doing, there are always going to be controllable variables and there are going to be uncontrollable variables. For example, let's say I'm taking this session with you right now. What can I control? I can control, the way I'm speaking. I can control the content I'm delivering. What can I not control? If the power goes away, if let's say my Wi-Fi is fluctuating, again, I don't have control over the entire network, right? I don't have control over how people are perceiving me. What I do have control over is how I engage with them. So there are always going to be controllable and uncontrollable variables. And at any point of time, when we are faced with any kind of anxiety, right, we have the decision to make. What would I like to do? And a lot of people try to control the uncontrollable. For example, they are worried about the economy, AI. This is happening. The company is going to do this. They are fighting with each other. This company is that. This company is unethical. They're fighting about the government. See, again, right? The government will do whatever they want to do. The companies will do whatever they want to do. What you can control are the controllable variables, which is your career and your finances. You need to start asking yourself that if tomorrow the worst does happen, what are the decisions I can make today so that I can feel safe if it were to happen? What it does is it takes away a lot of anxiety around uncontrollable variables. Sorry, controllable variables. So, what it leaves us with is a lot of clarity that what is the fear about? So, for example, let's say that you are a financially unplanned person. Okay, you don't plan your finances, you believe in YOLO, you only live once. So, obviously, you're going to be worried about money. You're going to be worried about if what happens if my income source stops, right? So you think that your issue is about money. You think that you need to make more money. You think that uh, people should never fire their employees and stuff like that. So you worry about the uncontrollable. But let's say that you have this worry and you start planning your finances, right? You create an emergency fund for yourself. You do investments and everything. What is going to happen is that at least it is going to make your money safe. Okay. So when you are money safe and when that problem is taken care of, and if that anxiety still exists, then we know that this is a result of some trauma wound and we can work on that. Now, of course, right, a lot of people don't know how to work on the controllable variables as well, like things you can control, and that's okay. I help my clients with that as well. But I'm just telling you that the reason why we want to solve the problems that we can is so that we can actually focus on the problems that are deep rooted. Because if it's all enmeshed, it's difficult. Okay, it's difficult because it is going to confuse you a lot. So start asking yourself, what are the career plans I can make, or what are the career moves I can make in case I believe that things will not work out in my favor? Similarly, what are the financial plans I can make so that I can, carry this out in case things don't work out in my favor? And even if then the anxiety prevails, which for 80% people it does, because the fear of uncertainty is not an adult fear, it's often a result of childhood trauma. Then you at least have the clarity that okay, this is a inner wound and I can work on it. And of course then you can always like do one-on-one trauma work with the coach of your choice. But then at least you have clarity, right? And you're taking action towards it. But when you don't do what you can do, then you are always worried about what can go wrong, which is true for everyone. Things can go wrong for everyone. There are so many uncontrollable factors for each one of us that it is stupid to believe that we have any kind of control. It's an illusion of control that we have for all of us, right? The only difference is that some of us are planned and some of us have that level of self belief and we trust in ourselves that we will be able to handle it. And that is why we are not degrading the present quality of life. See, when that when an event happens which is undesirable, for example, let's say losing a job or let's say losing a loved one also, of course the pain is going to be there. Of course we are going to be worried, of course we are going to feel a void, right? But that is going to happen when it happens. Imagine living that pain, living that fear, living that uncertainty every single day. So you are making your pain 100x because you're living it every single day, because you're worried about that it is going to happen, right? So you're dying 100 deaths every single day. You're feeling the pain of what has not even happened yet, even though you will feel it anyway when it does happen. So it is an illusion that your body has, that if I feel it right now, I will have some sort of illusion of control when it does happen. And this is a classic example of a child handling your life. And that is nothing but your inner child who is afraid of what is going to happen. Because that child, he or she, that kid does not believe that I will be able to handle it. And you, instead of being an adult who resolves that trauma wound, you're listening to that child. And a child shouldn't be leading your life. An adult should, which is you, your present version. So your job is to heal your traumas. Your job is to work on yourself. Your job is to do deep one-on-one inner work. Because if you don't do that, then it is the child you're putting that pressure on. Your job is to be the adult that you did not have growing up. Your job is to do the healing work that, again, you shouldn't have had to, honestly, in the first place. But if you don't do that now, if you don't take responsibility of your inner child, you're behaving the same way probably your parents did or your caregivers did, neglecting yourself, not listening to you, not taking care of you. So understand that you must first work on the controllable variables, things that you can control, which is making a career plan. And again, if you don't know how to do that, you can always take help for that. You can always book a one-on-one session with me too. And financial plans, again, if you don't know, take help, right? Take help from whoever is the credible source for you. But start solving the problems that you can. That is going to take away a lot of fear. Okay, let's come to the next point, which is the fear real or is it trauma induced? Now, what do I mean by this? Okay, let's say that I'm living my life. Okay, I'm doing my work every single day. I'm doing my best. I'm upskilling. I'm doing everything. Okay, yet I'm always afraid that what if things go wrong, right? What if things go wrong? What if this happens? What if that happens? I have a financial plan at place. I have a career plan at place. I know, right? I have taken care of all the controllable variables. Still the fear isn't going away, and every other day I'm just anxious. I'm trying to find some sort of security somewhere. I'm consuming, and again, I want to tell you a little bit about how people create the illusion of control. They will consume information after information. They will consume podcasts. They will consume books. They will go to people who can give them sense of validation, like astrologers, palm readers, face readers, tarot readers, and this and that. Basically, any kind of occult science they can get into, only to feel a sense of safety for a few days. It doesn't resolve anything, right? Because you are outsourcing your sense of safety to someone else. So when that happens, it becomes a vicious cycle. You are always chasing something outside which needs to come from inside of you, right? Because again, the source is inside, but you are chasing outside. And this creates a cycle, right? You waste your time, you waste your energy, you don't invest in your inner work because you keep on thinking, oh, something will go wrong. Let me save my money for one day when things will go wrong. So instead of actually working on your anxiety, you don't work on it, and it creates a cycle. So here you need to understand that there is no end to it. Okay, there is no end to a problem that you are not willing to resolve, and the only way to resolve this problem is one-on-one trauma resolution only. Why? Because this problem is rooted in your past. We are dealing, as I said, with an unhealed inner child who's terrified. That child is scared. That child is scared that I don't know what is going to happen. That child is scared. Why? Because you are not taking the responsibility of healing that relationship that you have with your inner child. You're not taking the responsibility to heal that inner child, right? You are doing whatever you can with the controllable variables, right? You are financially planned, your career is planned, everything, but that anxiety isn't going away, which means that your quality of life is still shit, isn't it? If you're worrying every single day, and you may have the career plan and you may have the financial plan in place, your quality of life is still shitty, because you can't experience contentment or happiness, on a day-to-day basis, because you are always worried, you're always planning, oh, this can go wrong. Your mind is, thinking about 100 formulas. If this goes wrong, I'm going to do this. If this goes wrong, I'm going to do that. What is that? That's not a high quality of life. That's you just, living in anxiety every single day. And the reason I'm saying this is because I really want you to think about it. Sometimes we become so used to living in survival mode, we stop expecting, or we stop even thinking that okay, we can be happy, that things don't have to be just about survival, that I can actually thrive, that I don't have to be in this mode of always worrying. And again, this can be a very borrowed habit. Maybe you saw your parents do that their entire life, they were always worried, so you are also now worried. And maybe growing up, that was how you survived, thinking what can go wrong and controlling it. So now you think that okay, I can control every part of my life, so you are just an anxiety induced person. But start asking yourself, is this the kind of life you imagine living, and how long will this go on? Because this is not school, and there is no end race to this. Like, nobody is winning or losing, because life is not a race, right? All of us have different milestones. We reach it, we have another milestone that comes up. So there will never come a point where you will feel that okay, I have won, or oh my god, this has happened. The feeling of contentment and satisfaction will only come from deep connection that you have with yourself. It will never come from any amount of money or achievement, because you achieve it, and you will achieve it, of course. I mean, at least your survival mode will push you to a point where you may be able to achieve it. What is going to happen is that that anxiety will increase over a period of time. The stakes will go higher for you. Okay, now I have achieved this, now I have to do more. So the contentment and the satisfaction that you want will not come. And it is an important point to register in your head, because a lot of us look at life as a race, because we were taught to do that. We were taught that there is some sort of race we are going to win if we get through an exam, if we get this job, if we get make this amount of money. Nobody told us that we have to do this for the rest of our life. So this being in the state of urgency, the state of survival, that let me ignore everything, let me just focus on my work or my money and everything, isn't a solution. It's you missing out on life, right? Okay, I want to cover the last 2 points. Before that, let me just see if we have any questions so far. Okay, we have some really nice people saying thank you. You're very welcome. I love doing these live events. It kind of makes me gives me a platform to serve you all better, because it's kind of hard to write everything in a LinkedIn post. And I know that very few people appreciate long form content, and these live events are so long, like it's been 52 minutes since I've been speaking. But I really appreciate all of you who stay, or even the ones who are watching this as a YouTube recording or something like that. I appreciate it. So, I want to discuss last 2 points. It's going to take like just 5 minutes. So, the next point I want to talk about is, do you know why you want something? And do you have an idea why that desire exists? So, what do I mean by that? So, a lot of times, the fear of uncertainty is also because you have a lot of mindless goals. What do I mean by mindless goals? Have you seen people who think like this? I just want to own a house at this age. I want this sports car. I want that, or I want this, right? And when you ask them why does that exist, or why does that goal exist, um, the the answer you're going to get is going to be quite shallow and superficial, right? Because they believe that that is going to be a sign of achievement for them, or um, that is going to give them this validation that they're always looking for. Or some people also pursue their life from a place of revenge. I will show them, I will succeed, and I will show them that they were wrong about me. So basically, oftentimes you are pursuing careers, you're pursuing goals that you have no idea why you're doing, right? You're doing it because you think that somehow it is going to give you something, right? It could be, as I said, right? Some people pursue it out of revenge. Some people have very shallow goals, that this will show people that I'm a big person now, or that my parents will be proud of me if I do that. So the thing with these kind of goals is that they are not coming from you. They are coming from a void that you have inside, and you think that if I achieve this goal, this void is going to be fulfilled. For example, a lot of people dedicate their entire life towards impressing their own parents. Again, childhood trauma, right? Did not get enough appreciation and love and attention, chasing that entire life. I have seen people destroy their marriages, their relationships, their careers purely because they thought that they had to run after what mom and dad, is going to be happy with, right? I've seen that it goes to another level. Similarly, it can be about revenge. It can be about, I will make so much money that I will become invincible. Why do you believe that? Because you feel weak from inside, right? So when you don't have a clear idea, when you don't have a solid goal, when you don't have a solid desire of why I'm doing something, what it can create is, it can create this, how do I put it, baseless motivation. That's the word that's coming to me. Like, you must have seen people, right? They have this thing that I will do this, I will do that. And if you see their life, you will find there's a lot of emptiness in it, right? They are not creating meaningful relationships. They don't even have a relationship with themselves. Their entire focus is on something superficial. Now, is it wrong? No, it's not wrong. Everybody is entitled to what they desire. But the problem with this is that it's unfair to expect that you're going to have a shallow goal and you're going to have a fulfilling life. That's a very important distinction. Okay. If you are chasing shallowness, what is shallowness? Chasing after something to fill a void that is inside of you. That's shallowness. Doing something because you deeply believe in it is going after a fulfilling goal because it is for you. It is not to fill a void, right? So the difference is that when you're chasing something like that, you're not going to feel satisfied, you're not going to feel content, and anxiety is going to be your best friend when your goals are shallow. When when you want to have a meaningful life, then you're going to have to do one-on-one work. You're going to have to do inner work. Why? Because unless and until you don't heal yourself, that alignment will always be missing. You will never know why I'm doing what I'm doing. It will always be for someone else or for chasing an emotion. I want to make my parents proud. I want to make this person feel like this, and I want to feel like this. So basically, it's like, as I said, right, filling a void. So understand that based on the path that you choose, you have to be willing to pay the price for it. A lot of people don't understand this. See, there is no goal in this world which is right or wrong, right? Nobody has that moral high ground to say that, right? So based on the kind of life you want, you need to consciously design it. So if you think that I'm going to spend my entire life chasing shallowness and I need to be happy at the same time, not going to happen. If you want a happy life yet you're not willing to do inner work, not going to happen. So understand the pros and cons of the choices you're making. And that is going to happen when you have a clear understanding of why am I doing what I'm doing? What is the reason? What am I chasing? Right? What do I think I will get? Like, for example, we just got a question, right? Wherein this person said that I'm in e-commerce and now people are talking about AI. I want to get into AI. Why do you want to get into AI? What is the reason? Is it because somebody is talking about it on social media? Is that why? Is that really a strong enough purpose for you to do that? Do have you even thought about, is this a good fit for me? Are my strengths aligned with it? Or are you in the illusion that if I just get into it, something will work out? Because again, this over optimism often happens when there is misalignment. Like, you go into something, like you must have seen people, right? People go into doing MBAs, really expensive MBAs, even in India. They don't know why they're doing it. The reason is, I don't know what I want, so I'm going to do an MBA. And they are over optimistic about things are going to work out. Things are going to work out. I am doing an MBA, things are going to work out. And of course, things don't work out as they expect, and there's disappointment in the end. I've seen many, many cases like that. So instead of being over optimistic about a gamble, why not take a planned career decision? Why not take some months to work on yourself, to do inner work, and then take a decision that comes from a sense of stability instead of a sense of anxiety? Let me just get into this MBA, then things will work out. Let me just do this, things will work out. Things don't work out like that. Things work out when you make them work, right? Nothing is random for anyone. Please understand that. Nothing is ever random. There is work that you put in, and that is how that it blooms. So if you are consistently experiencing disappointments, it is because you did not create the outcome that you wanted. You did not have a clear idea of what you wanted. So start asking, why do I want whatever I want? And this brings me to the last point, which is building your self belief and creating certainty from within. See, uncertainty is always going to be there, as I mentioned, right? For every one of us, no matter how wealthy you are, no matter how talented you are, things can be taken away from each one of us due to whatever reason, right? So, what you have control over is how much do you trust yourself? Because the amount of trust that you have in yourself is going to directly correlate with how you tackle life. For example, people who don't trust themselves don't make investments. Like, let's talk about money for a moment. People don't invest who don't trust themselves because they believe that I will not be able to make the right decisions, my money will go away. So they experience, again, right, lower growth of their finances versus people who do believe in themselves, right? Similarly, there are also people who are quite overconfident about it and they also lose money. That same goes with career as well. When you don't believe in yourself, you will not be able to actually realize your potential, right? And when you don't realize your potential, you play small, because instead of working on your self belief and self confidence, you are trying to, create an illusion of safety, illusion of control, and it is an illusion. So instead of doing all these superficial things, understand that the certainty I'm looking for is inside of me. And if it is not inside of me, I need to do inner work to create it. Only and only then, all of this fear will go away and things will become clear to me. I will have a clear understanding of what is right and what is wrong for me. That is what gives you an immense amount of leverage, because a person who has clarity and confidence, things are just so easy for them, because they're not scared to go after what they want. They have a clear idea of what they want, so they just go after it. Whatever, all that is left is execution. Whereas someone who has a lot of unhealed trauma, someone who's not willing to work on themselves, what happens is that they take mindless effort, like they do mindless hustling, they get exhausted and there's no result of it. You must have seen some people say that I'm working so hard, there are no results. Have you checked the kind of work that you're doing, is it actually aligned with you? For example, I don't know much about tech. Okay, let's say that I decide I want to be a software developer. There is no strong why. Only thing I know is tech is working, tech is booming, so I will get into tech. And I am working 8 hours a day to study everything. I have decided that I'm going to do this, and obviously because my natural talent is not there, and I don't even have any interest in it. I think it's going to make me more money, so I got into tech. I can spend months and years into that field, and yet I will be below average. Why? Because I'm competing with people who are actually interested in it. Their purpose, their why is deeper than my why. Similarly, if there is someone working in tech and they come into my field because they think that, okay, this is something I want to do, this has money, they are going to take a lot more time than I did in my field, because I'm actually interested. I'm actually aligned. My why is not just money, it's bigger than that. So understand that when you are misaligned, when you don't know who you are, when you don't do inner work, the efforts that you're putting, half of them is going to waste, right? Because it is not going in the right place. So there's a saying, right? If you have been given 1 hour to cut a tree, spend 50 minutes sharpening the axe. That is exactly what inner work is about. Sharpening your brain so that you can take focused actions instead of mindless hustling, mindless action. Hustling is not a sign of growth. Understand that. Okay, so we are done for today. That is all I wanted to talk about. This went on for way too long. I'm going to see if we have any other questions for today. And I'm going to see if we have any questions at all. If not, then we're going to bid goodbye for today. And I will also answer questions if, let's say, I'm unable to answer here. So it's okay if you guys send me answer in my DMs and the live event is ended. So there's no problem in that. Okay, I will still answer it. Okay, we don't have any questions so far. Related to the event, what I have had a question is on the childhood trauma healing bootcamp. So just DM me bootcamp, okay, and I will send you the link, or you can just comment also bootcamp, and I will like send you the link of the bootcamp, or you can just find it in my LinkedIn bio. Like in my LinkedIn bio, there is this line that's written, "Here is how I can help you." Just click on it, explore all the links. I have free WhatsApp communities where I send audio coaching there every day. I have free resources there. I also all the links to book sessions with me are also there. So just explore that, take your time, and I hope that you commit to your inner work, and I hope that you only take focused actions. Thank you so much for joining, everyone, and I will see you for our next event next week. Bye bye.